Okay. A lot of people here tonight. So I'm going to take you on a little bit of a journey. I started my theater career in a small town called Highland, Kansas. Yeah, I know you've been there. Tyler, if I'm not mistaken. His name is not Tyler, by the way. I don't know if anybody knows that. It's not Tyler. But anyway, so I just want you to picture this. I'm just going to paint a picture of what Highland is a little bit like. It's a population of 523, 3 being the 6 pregnant high school kids who aren't allowed to have abortions, and so the fetuses count as half points. There are 3 churches, 2 gas stations, and 1 stoplight. And to make it all worse, it's a dry county because Jesus said no drinking. Now, as you can probably imagine, it is about 97% white, and the other 3% is the one black family that lives there, my friend Rock, and the football team that was conveniently bussed in from out of town. Now, my theater group was quite the eclectic bunch. I know that's like saying that water is wet, but my theater group had a lot of gay men that helped grow and shape me into the person that I am today. They told me a lot of fascinating stories about double fisting and bathhouses. If you're not sure what bathhouses are, it's like Grindr, but in person, and everyone swipes right. I mean, it sounds magical. My first introduction into the theater was when my friend needed me to help him do his stage makeup, and the theater director came back to the dressing room and wanted to know who the drunk bitch was in the dressing room. I was the drunk bitch in the dressing room. My first semester at school was quite a blur, and I failed almost all of my classes. And like any respectable artist who is failing out of college, I decided to join the theater. The 2 years that ended up happening were some of the best, but yet most questionable times of my life. The very first show that I was in, that I was a lead in, was in Rashomon, where I played an Asian wife who may or may not have been raped. Rape is bad, but so is yellowface. Okay, so I was gonna tell more Asian jokes, but this crowd is about as populated and diverse as Highland was, so I'm gonna stick to the black jokes. We did some clever things to make sure that it didn't come off super racist, though. First, it was 2009. Second, we did kabuki makeup. Kabuki makeup, if you don't know what it is, just like imagine Memoirs of a Geisha. I didn't do an accent, though. Thinking back, though, it probably would have had a certain je ne sais quoi. The next show that we did was Dog Sees God. Nothing too crazy other than Charlie Brown was trying to butt fuck, and Snoopy had rabies, and murdered Woodstock, and Linus committed suicide. So like a total normal teenage parody. I also do think at some point during the show I was involved in a threesome, so like gang gang. Then on to the musical. We did The Wiz. Yes, the Diana Ross and Michael Jackson's The Wiz. Not Judy Garland's Yellow Brick Road. Our Yellow Brick Road were just hands, and we did gang signs. Now, if you haven't caught on, the guy that ran the theater was gay and also specialized or whatever in colorblind casting, which, is really kind of great in theory, as long as you're not trying to whitewash everything. Now, we also had our clever way of getting through that show. It was a black light show, so we all wore neon bright clothing and you couldn't see our faces, thank God. Now, if you think things are gonna lighten up after this, I'm really sorry to tell you the next show that I was cast in was Corpus Christi, which was a biblical show about gay Jesus. As a reminder, there was a lot of gay men in my theater department. Yeah, I was cast as gay Jesus. It's a pretty awesome way to find out that you have the body of a hot twink before you're even legal to drink. Thank you. So I was crucified every night. You all know the story. But something really special happened on the closing night. I had my Janet Jackson moment. I was hoisted up on the cross, and my pasty slowly started to detach from my body, and it fell to the ground, and the whole audience got straight up titty, which I'm sure helped with the uncomfortableness of just watching lesbian Jesus make out with lesbian Judas. I'm pretty sure we nailed it. But the last show, just let me do the last show that we did. We had to do our theater director's master thesis of colorblind casting, which was Once on This Island. If you're not sure about Once on This Island, it is quite literally a Romeo and Juliet musical about set in the French Antilles, about people that are black as coffee and coffee with a little bit of cream in it. And I know the lights are like really bright up here, but this doesn't quite cut it. My favorite memory, and let me just preface, it's my favorite memory because it is seared into my memory as one of the most ridiculous moments. Imagine 9 mostly white actors in a Mighty Duck V formation slowly walking towards you singing, "They despise us for our blackness." Now, you might be wondering what happened to this theater company and everything like that. Well, the theater director got fired. There's no longer a theater department. But I know that we set a really good impression on those farmers that lived in Highland because they despised us for our blackness. My name is not Toby. I'm Emily Brunt. Have a great night.
I'm glad you got out.